The commotion in the Chinese entertainment world is nothing new, especially when it involves two big names who have become global icons in recent years, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. However, what happened this time was not just a rumor. A short clip, which seemed to be accidental, went viral and reignited nostalgia, emotions, and speculation that had long been buried in the hearts of fans. What made things heat up was one small detail, a soft, sweet, and almost inaudible greeting that came out of Wang Yibo's mouth. A greeting that shook the entire fandom. Honey, and according to some more attentive listeners, also baby. Within minutes, the global fandom completely exploded. The video originally came from a collection of old behind-the-scenes footage that somehow resurfaced. No one knows who first cut, uploaded, and highlighted that small moment, but its impact was enormous. At first, the video seemed ordinary. Two actors taking a break between shoots, sitting close together, with a relaxed atmosphere that showed how close and comfortable their relationship was. They laughed softly, showed each other something on their phones, and talked informally. However, who would have thought that in that moment of silence, Yibo would utter one word that seemed to reignite all the feelings of the fandom that had ever existed. Honey, look at this. The greeting was very soft, almost like a long-standing habit. There was no pressure, no excessive joking, no signs that Yibo deliberately said it to entertain the staff or make a joke. Quite the opposite. His tone was calm, soft, and natural, as if it were part of his daily life. And what surprised fans the most was Xiao Zhan's reaction. There was no surprise, no shaking of the head, no defensive response. Xiao Zhan just smiled, turned his head slowly, and looked at what Yibo was showing him. That smile, that smile, became the main spark that ignited the explosion of theories and in-depth analysis that later flooded the internet. From there, the clip became the center of attention for millions of pairs of eyes. People replayed that moment over and over, slowed down the speed, sharpened the audio, and some even used software to separate the background noise so they could hear more clearly. They traced Yibo's intonation, analyzed the movement of his lips, and interpreted Xiao Zhan's expression to find the answer. Was it really honey, or just another word that sounded similar? But for most fans, there was no doubt. They heard what they heard, and they were ready to celebrate that moment until the end of time. Then came an additional part that made everything even more exciting. In an even shorter video fragment, Yibo's voice can be heard saying, "Baby, come here." This fragment is more blurry, the background noise is louder, and it's not as clear as the word honey. But who cares? For a fandom that has long been paying attention to the dynamics of their closeness, those two greetings were more than enough to reopen a sea of emotional memories, the warmth of their interactions in the past, and the endless imagination that has fueled the international community for years. Social media was immediately flooded with intense reactions. Some screamed hysterically, some cried tears of joy, some claimed to feel the energy of 2019 again, when their chemistry exploded on screen and created one of the biggest phenomena in C entertainment history. "He called her honey so naturally," wrote one fan in all caps. Others said, "That reaction isn't the first time." Some wrote, "Why do they always look like two people who are too comfortable with each other?" Such comments flooded every comment section, from TikTok, Twitter, Weibo, to Facebook. However, the biggest and most emotional reactions came from longtime fans who have followed the two actors' journey since the beginning. They began compiling threads, video compilations, and in-depth analyses comparing sweet moments from the past. They connected the way Yibo called Xiao Zhan with the moment when Yibo unconsciously watched Xiao Zhan's steps so he wouldn't slip, or when he automatically helped tidy up his partner's hair, or when he stood behind Xiao Zhan to make sure he didn't trip over the cable. All of that is now rewoven into a stronger narrative, that their closeness has a warmth that cannot be explained in words. In fact, some fans have begun to reflect on how their career journeys have strengthened their emotional bonds. From actors working hard on major projects together, becoming the face of a global phenomenon, to facing public storms and pressures that only those who have been at the peak of extreme popularity can understand. All of these experiences, according to fans, have likely created bonds that cannot be easily broken. At the same time, it is natural for some fans to remain rational and see this incident as a form of ordinary familiarity. Many artists call their coworkers by sweet nicknames as a form of joke or habit. This is common in the entertainment industry. They emphasize that moments like this can happen without any romantic meaning, and this is not something that should be overinterpreted. But even this opinion cannot dampen the enthusiasm of the fandom, because in the end, it's not just about whether the nickname really means something. It's about how this small moment rekindles a sense of togetherness among fans, a sense of nostalgia, and the simple happiness that once connected millions of people around the world. And sure enough, after the clip went viral, many accounts suddenly reposted old behind-the-scenes footage, photos that once made fans smile, and compilations of Yibo and Xiao Zhan's interactions that showed how strong their natural chemistry was. Every moment came alive again, as if time had turned back and brought everyone back to the year when their names were always mentioned together, when fandom happiness was so pure, innocent, and full of spirit. Everyone seems to feel the same thing, that the entertainment world may continue to change, but the appeal of their professional relationship and friendship remains timeless. Even after all these years, when they have each pursued their own careers, one small, unintended moment can still make the whole world talk about them. This is not the power of rumors, nor is it the power of the media. It is the power of a story that once united millions of people and now still has the ability to touch everyone's hearts with just one gentle greeting. In the end, whether Wang Yibo really called Xiao Zhan honey and baby, or whether it was just a mishearing, or whether it was just an accidental joke that was recorded, no one knows for sure. And perhaps, fans don't really care about the absolute truth. What they care about is the warmth that emanates from the video, the sense of togetherness that has been revived in their community, and the indescribable feeling that can only arise from the relationship between two people who once worked intensely together and created something far greater than themselves. One thing has been proven time and again over the years. Whenever the names Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan appear in the same context, the world can never truly stay calm. There is something about this pair, be it chemistry, friendship, or simply the unique dynamic between them, that always manages to shake up the internet and grab everyone's attention. That small moment, unintentional, unstaged, unplanned, is proof that their charm is still alive and still loved by millions. And now, after the terms honey and baby echoed in fans' ears, one thing became crystal clear. Despite the passage of time, despite the world changing, and despite each having walked their own paths, the energy between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan still holds the power to make the entire fandom fall in love all over again, as if they had never stopped from the very beginning.